I give my name and like I'm coming to Diddy's party. Okay, so I get in, and then to get to his house, um, it's even like there's like security outside, and but it was like it wasn't like today that you can just post something on Instagram and everybody knows about it. You know what I mean? It was like very private. If you knew, you knew. I didn't know more than 50 people. It was very exclusive, There was a lot of beautiful girls always, and his buddies. He always had some buddies with him. Not necessarily famous people, but I guess people that used to work with him, or they're not famous, but they are,
Entourage.
His entourage, yeah. And they were always inside of the house. They would go inside of the house and then come out, and always had a tray with shots. And he would give it to me.
Given that 50 Cent recently clowned Diddy following his arrest on charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and the transportation of victims from third world countries, it appears that the much-awaited documentary about the rapper may be released sooner than we had originally anticipated. In addition to a minimum sentence of 15 years for the trafficking charges, and a minimum of 10 years for bringing these people into the United States, Diddy is currently facing life in prison for the racketeering charges. Who can guess who is enjoying every minute of this as it happens? 50 Cent. Not only did he clown Diddy for this, but now he's threatening to release even more evidence against Diddy, which could potentially make this case 100 times worse than it already is. For months now, 50 has been closely collaborating with Diddy's victims to capture their testimonials for his impending documentary. To aid the federal government, he even hinted that he might make all the evidence public before the documentary airs. For those of you who are not aware of the latest events in Diddy's case, he was taken into custody on Monday while he was visiting a New York hotel. His indictment, which was made public soon after his arrest, claims that he was caught trafficking victims into the United States by air from third world nations, leaving them with nowhere to flee, and coercing them into performing group acts with his associates, whom he called freak-offs. Days would sometimes pass between these acts, which Diddy is said to have videotaped and shared. He and the victims, whom he coerced into taking drugs, found the encounters to be so physically taxing that they frequently needed IV fluids to recuperate. Furthermore, Diddy was not the only one planning this. Actually, it was a whole operation in which prominent people, including politicians and celebrities, took part in abusing these girls and boys and coercing them into actions against their will. The victims were forced into these freak-offs and mistreated until they passed out, despite having been brought to the United States with the expectation that they would be working minimum wage jobs to support their families. The indictment claims that the criminal conspiracy was able to create a criminal enterprise that was involved in forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice by utilizing the personnel, assets, and power of the diverse business empire that Diddy controlled. Additionally, the indictment disclosed that Diddy was the mastermind behind these freak-offs, giving his victims various controlled substances to maintain their compliance and obedience. Remember the raid on his properties a few months ago that resulted in the apprehension of his sons, Christian and Justin? It turns out that thousands of bottles of lubricant and freak-off tapes that Diddy and his accomplices used on helpless boys and girls who were flown into the country were discovered during that raid. 3 AR-15 rifles with drum sound magazines and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant were discovered, according to reports. Even the police, who frequently look into these kinds of cases, were taken aback by the level of detail. Diddy's team reserved hotel rooms and airfare in addition to stocking up on lubricant, baby oil, extra linens, and specialty lighting for these meetings. However, as I previously stated, 50 Cent is having a blast seeing Diddy exposed in this manner, and he intends to exacerbate the situation by releasing his Diddy documentary. 50 made fun of Diddy shortly after all of this information was released, by bringing up the 1,000 lubricant and baby oil bottles that were discovered in his home. Now, if you have been paying attention, you are aware that even prior to the Cassie lawsuit, 50 Cent was putting pressure on Diddy. As one of the rappers Diddy supposedly attempted to force into this bizarre world, 50 Cent made it his mission to aid his downfall. 50 claims that Diddy offered him an all-expense-paid shopping spree in an attempt to persuade him to bend over. Following the release of Cassie's lawsuit, 50 Cent became even more petty, constantly making fun of Diddy and even spending his own money to produce a full-length documentary about Diddy and his purported accomplice, Jay-Z. 50 was among the first people to support Cassie after she first hit Diddy with her lawsuit. Within a day of Diddy's lawsuit settlement, 50 posted, "He paid that money real quick. Had to have taken that action prior to the sharks smelling the water. The order of arrival is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the women he touched." After that, 50 made an announcement about his documentary, claiming it would expose everything Diddy had done, including the voices of the people whose bodies and lives he had violated. He reshared an article with the caption, "I thought Diddy was a billionaire music mogul," about how he was working on the documentary. "He will file for bankruptcy if he is wise. Anybody who has actual money understands my reasoning. For the job, guys, I am the best producer. The receipts are here." As if things could not get any more messy, 50 later revealed that Jay-Z was also being exposed in the documentary in addition to Diddy. He captioned a picture of Jay-Z on a milk carton and the official documentary poster. "Anybody seen Jay? The man is not picking up his phone," according to Puff. He then posted a second image of Jay-Z with the caption, "This is Jay-Z, last seen waving at Puffy's jet." Funny, huh? And just when we thought 50 was finished, he shared a very ugly picture of Jay-Z along with the statement, "Jay's hibernating. He is not leaving the house until this Puff situation is resolved. No lunch, no dinner, and no brunch." 50 is not going to stop pursuing Diddy and his friends. He will not stop exposing them until they are permanently incarcerated. Speaking of which, the judge rejected Diddy's attempt to buy his way out of justice by offering a $50 million bail bond in addition to his and his mother's Miami properties. Diddy would reportedly be incarcerated until his trial began. Remember, even though he entered a not guilty plea, he has already been found guilty on several charges. If found guilty, he could spend the next 100 years in prison. Since he was denied bail, prison is essentially his new home. Diddy's brazen attorneys are currently occupied with trying to win a war that has already been lost. This simply cannot be made up. Diddy chose to leave behind a legacy like this, and it makes me feel awful for his twins and the little girl he recently had. The man is genuinely abhorrent. As is typical, people's opinions on this vary. "He put up $50 million bail and the judge denied it," exclaimed one person. "There is trouble for this man. Who would reject a $50 million bail?" 50 Cent does not have too many skeletons in his closet for him to be speaking so loudly against his peers, another commenter stated. "He might have been a victim if he took that shopping spree. Maybe not in that way, but on tape for sure," remarked a third person. I would like to hear your opinions now. How do you feel about 50 Cent calling out Diddy? Do you believe Diddy's career will end with this? Please share your opinions in the space provided for comments below. Also, do not forget to click this link to view this other extremely clumsy video.